Round two. This is the second batch of 5 Raxus Starkillers that I've installed and weathered for um, Jamie, Brady, Brian, Jared, and Jonathan. Okay. But before I do that, for anyone who's watching this the second time, if you watched my first demo, this is probably going to be a little bit boring for you because I'm going to cover a lot of the same things that I covered in that first one, because I just want to address each one of you guys individually and give you the same amount of information and give you the same care and explanations that I did the first time around. All right, but before we go through these sabers, and we'll go through them in random, but I'll let you know whose is whose. One thing that I did forget to mention on the first demo is there are a few things that you guys are going to find in your kit. These are some things that Sean and I just wanted to add as an extra plus. The first one being, this is a 12 by 16 blueprint of this Starkiller, and this was drawn up for me by Tim over at Tirfon Orbital. He was nice. He was nice enough to make this for me. Sean actually sent it over to Sean. Sean's the one that got it printed. Sent them over to me for the ones that I'm doing. I will fold these up and put them in your box. It's just a little thank you for you guys for picking these up. So you'll find, so there'll be one in each box. And then also a little something from Sean and myself is one of these pins. So we had a pin made of the actual saber, which we thought was pretty cool because we just hadn't seen it done before. And you'll find one of these in each box as well. All right, so a little something I forgot to mention first time around. But those are some added things that will be in the box. Now on to the sabers. One thing I mentioned also in my last demo is I was waiting for some M3 by 10 screws to put in here for blade retentions. On those first batch, they hadn't come in yet, but I just got them in today. So for these 5 sabers, I've already put them in. What happened was this was originally intended to be the blade retention, and you will need to back this up when putting your blade in, and then you can tighten it down. It does tighten on the blade a little bit. It doesn't tighten as much as I'd like. It barely goes into the blade socket. So what I've done is I got some M3 by 10 screws. I replaced this front button head screw, or the one that's closest to the emitter. So if you look in there, you can kind of see it sticking into the blade socket right there. So that is going to be your blade retention. You've actually got 2, but this really is the main one. All right. How I tell whose these belong to is it's written on the actual battery. So they're all weathered pretty much the same. I use the same technique now for these 10 that I've done. Some mild weathering. I went through on each of these and put some little bit of battle damage on the emitters just to make it look used. They're all 2-button setups with these low profile brass tactile switches. So made these very low profile so they don't get in the way, but they're easy to press with your finger. All right, the front switch will always be power. The back will always be auxiliary. Heat stained all 6 of the screws for the shroud. Heat stained the steel ring here for the emitter. If you look inside the crystal chamber, you'll notice that the crystal holder here is made out of titanium. So I heat stained that. Up here, the rod and the main holder for the rod are both titanium. So I went ahead and I heat stained those as well. All right, this is the brass chamber fin area right here is an add-on that comes with the Taco Shop chassis when you buy it. Most of you had me weather it. Some of you did not. Some of you, like, I don't remember offhand, but we'll go through it. But I know for sure Brady had me weather his chassis, but not the chamber rod. That was the only combination I had like that. Either I have them all weathered or they're all not, except for Brady. All right, so we'll go through all that. These 2 rods here are titanium that are going down the front of the saber. If we can get my camera to focus, they are also heat stained. Now, your kit, and you'll find these in the kit because obviously I didn't use them. They come with a variation of rods. You can either have the titanium, which is the one I put in. You have a pair of brass rods, and then if you so choose, you have a pair of clear acrylic rods as well. Now these are held in with some CA glue. On all of them, I put CA glue a little bit behind here and a little bit behind here. But if you wanted to swap those out with enough force, you don't have to take this apart. You could just grab them and pop them out and then slide the other ones in if that's something that you wish to do. All right. And that is also something I forgot to mention in the last video. I have been super busy trying my hardest to make you guys not wait any longer than you had to for these. So I forgot some things on that last demo. All right. You all have the smoky lenses. So you got a smoky lens here and a smoky lens here. But in your kit, you will find clear ones, and you'll also find clear red ones. You can simply unscrew these and swap them out, screw the new ones in if that's what you choose to do. My personal favorites are the smoky ones, so that's kind of what I went with, clear across the board. All right, but whatever parts I didn't use, obviously you will find those in your boxes. I didn't do anything with them. I just left them in the boxes. All right, now your shrouds, they're all separate pieces. They are steel, so I heat stain them as well. When the saber comes raw and brand new, these shrouds are on with some strong double-sided tape, and so are the brass bars. All right, so what I do to weather this guy is I have to take all the shrouds off. I have to take all the brass bars off because I have to paint this piece black. All right, and then after I do that, put the bars back on, weather it, and then I glue with some CA glue the shrouds back on, except for this guy right here. You have one shroud that is on here with magnets. So you can choose to slide it down, or you can even come over here and you can pop it all the way off. It's got 6 magnets, so I just like to slide it down. But that, of course, is for your crystal reveal, and that gives you, you can see your secondary crystal chamber, and you have a spinning plasma gate that we'll go over here in a second as well. All right, but when you don't want to have a crystal reveal, you just pop that back on and it slides right into place, and it's held very well. The rest of them are held on with CA glue. This one right here has a slot cut out in it, obviously, and you get a little bit of shine through from your secondary chamber. So that's what we've got there, and that, of course, is clear across the board. All right. Now, after all that, to get to your chassis, you want to unscrew the handle. Please know, and this is something that I iterated on the first demo, I'm going to reiterate it every time I make one of these. This taco shop chassis and this handle is super tight. So tight that I don't have to open them up if the chassis kit came from Craft Cloud, but if your chassis came from Shapeways, I actually have to open up the inside of this handle on my lathe. This entire batch of 5 just so happened that they're all from Shapeways, so everyone's handle had to be open. That's why it's taken me so long to do this. I actually had these sabers done about 9 o'clock this morning, but there's a couple modifications I have to do to get the handle to even fit on. One is opening up the handle. I can only do that so far because then I get to the idea of where the threads are and I have to stop. Otherwise, I'll cut into the threads, and I don't want to do that. All right, so unscrew the handle to get to your chassis, and I will show you the secondary modification that I had to do to all of these guys today. Take your time, wiggle it back and forth. They'll come out. Some of them are tighter than others, but I will tell you now, they are all super tight. All right, and this is your chassis. So I don't know who this belongs to. What I've done is I've gone through and I've written on the battery who it belongs to. This is the battery cover right here. So if I pop this off, and it's on here tight, this one says Trans. So this is Jonathan Trans Raxus. All right. On all of these, what I had to do is first I take the battery cover, and I had to sand quite a bit of material off the top of that guy to get some of that diameter down. And then, I weathered it back up. It's not too bad when it comes to the chassis that are weathered. Now, some of you guys have me make your chassis just stay clean, right? They're polished brass. So I tried to go through, and even though I had to take a bunch of material off these battery covers, I did try my best to go through and polish them up on a buffing wheel when I was done to get some shine back. All right, but you may notice a bit of a color difference between your battery cover and the rest of your brass pieces because I spent extra time sanding those and buffing them and trying to polish them up. But we'll go through all of them. This one, no different, right? But I weathered it back up so it matches pretty good. This particular one, I didn't have to do anything to the board cover. On some of them I do, or I did rather. I had to, I know it keeps wanting to zoom in on my face, but I had to take it off and I had to sand down the edges of these ribs on both sides. You got these ribs over here because they just were flaring out a little bit, and the battery cover, you know, these pieces right here, they're kind of like so much material, they were flaring out a little bit as well. All right, so filed those down, or sanded them down, actually put it on a sanding disc, sanded those down, got the handle to fit, but it is super tight. Please be careful. All you have to do, and I mean, you can see how easy it goes on, but you can see me kind of wiggling it on, and then when I'm taking it off, I'm just being careful. I'm wiggling it back and forth and taking it out. There's no room in the sky, or no extra room in the sky at all. All right, so you got your Profi board under here. If you pop this off, this is on magnets. You got your Profi board right here. There's a 3-pixel accent strip on all of them just to get a little bit of extra shine through on this cover area that I'll show you. Access to your SD card and your micro USB from right here. Your board is glued down. You've got a Smuggler's Outpost 28mm Elite speaker that's fully enclosed. All right, so it's going to sound really good. You've got an OLED screen right here that you can see too when you put your cover on. You got that cut out there for your OLED screen. You all have my boot up OLED animation. When you flip it over here, of course, this is the battery cover. This holds an 18350 battery. It is super tight in here, so when taking it out, take your time. You know, you're going to want to use a tool, pry a little bit from one side, then go over and pry a little bit from the other side, and work your way back and forth to pop it out. There's a lot of stuff going on in this chassis. Carlos did a really good job of putting it all in here, but you know, the battery tray is super tight, and it's gripping that battery, so just take your time and it'll come out fine. All right, this is an empty space in here, but I have a pixel facing down. So on all of these, what I did was I programmed a broken circuitry animation. So you have that in here, and then of course moving up here you have your secondary chamber. Now this crystal, it's a real quartz. Oh no, I'm sorry, it is not. This is a resin printed crystal. All right, this is one that Carlos designed for this chassis. So it's in there. Some of them are white, some of them are red. Some people had me print one for them. If you had me print one, I printed it in red. If you ordered one from Shapeways with the chassis, it came in white. I believe all of these 5 have the white one. All right, so this crystal up here, though, is a real quartz crystal. All right. And then finally, you have a kill switch right here. Now, there is one sound font on the Saber. They all come with my own sound font. You can find a copy of the config file on my on your SD card, and then I will show you how I wired them all up. This is a paper I keep next to my soldering iron, but this is how I wired every one of these guys up months and months ago. All right, so you can see, if you look here, the blade and the main crystal chamber that I showed you have the real crystal in it. They're sharing the same LED pads. They're just on different data pads. Okay. And then, of course, LED 5 and data 3 is both for the secondary crystal chamber and that little empty space that I told you I put that broken circuitry effect in there. What I did was I wired those together, and I'm using sub blades for those. All right. First, it will be the empty space, and then it will be the secondary crystal chamber. And then, of course, last on LED 4 is the motor. So no matter what you do, you probably want to keep that code that I've got in there for the motor the same. All right. It's a lot of talking. Let me take a drink of water real quick. All right. So after all that, we come over here and we can flip our kill switch. All got my boot up animation. So it says Solo Sabers, and it's actually a Starkiller that comes up and ignites. So again, I like to give a shout out to Brian Connor, No Sloppy, who made that for me. Super cool. All right, that's your battery meter. Your crystals are on timers, but if you flip them around, you can see them. They're pulsing. So of course your secondary is red, your main is white. Until we come over here and we turn on with the upper switch. So now you got that broken circuitry effect I was telling you about. If we can focus on it. There you go. You got your rotating plasma gate right here, right? Your heartbeat crystal. And your main LED connector. And then this piece, the 3 accent LED strip I had on top of your board, that's going to mirror your blade, so you don't have to worry about coating that. I just wired it in line with your main blade. All right. And then you got twist off. Actually, all of these have twist on as well. And then twist off. You have, Jonathan, you have Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connector in here, which I believe is consistent across all 5 of these. All right. But once we flip that kill switch on, we can come over here. We can put our handle on. Again, just take your time, wiggle it back and forth. It'll go. The more times I put this handle on and I take it off, the easier it seems to get a little bit. But just be aware, you know, I'm saying it again, super tight fit. Super tight. So put our handle on, come over here. This thing is a beast. So it has really good sound. You can see your crystal in there, and then you can also see your spinning plasma gate, so that's really cool. But if you want a full view, just take your shroud and slide it down. Right? And then when you're done, you can just take your finger and slide it right back into place. You can slide it in place and it will stay. If you don't want to twist it on, you can come over here and hit power. You got some shine through here. A little bit of shine through here. Good soft on fire. And let's put a blade in this guy. These take 7/8 inch Neopixel blades. All right. So first we'll back up this guy just a touch. Doesn't take much at all. Then come up to that top bunny ear button head screw. Back it up out of the blade socket. Come over here and put your blade in. Tighten this back down. Right. Come over here and tighten your bunny ear or your button head down. And now we've locked in. You can see your crystal's timed out, as well as the crystal inside has timed out as well. That way it doesn't kill your 18350. All right, but power. Auxiliary down here. Now blast it bolt. If you want blade lock up, you'll have to hold it down and hit the saber. Right here. All right. And then twist off. It just has the one sound font on it, but of course, if you had multiple, you just tap auxiliary. Apologize. To play your soundtrack, it's a long press on the power. All right. And another long press to turn it off. And that's about it. So we'll back this back out a few turns. Back out our button head on the top of the bunny ears. Slide our blade. Pop our blade out like that. I'm going to tighten this back down so nothing happens to it. Put this back tight, and then we'll just open this back up, and I'll show you that your kill switch is doing what it should do. All right. So turn this on. Come over here and flip our switch right here down. And now we're dead. Okay, so this saber is working like it should, Jonathan. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope that you like the way that this came out. And I'm going to set this off to the side and grab somebody else's. Now, I've spent a lot of time going over, you know, the specifics of the saber. They're all the same, so we're not probably going to go as in-depth on the other four. I am going to show you that everything works and then show you the weathering. But this is you, Jonathan, right here. We'll grab the saber right here. This has a clean crystal chamber accent piece. So let's see whose this is. All right. We'll just open this up. Again, please remember, chassis is very tight. One thing I forgot to mention is you guys have two chassis retention screws. I put one here, and then there's one 180 degrees from it. All right, so it's a nice even locking down of the chassis. This one I also had to come through and take a lot of material off of this battery cover, but then I went through and I tried to polish it up. All right, so it matched, because this obviously is one of the people that did not want me to weather the chassis. So we'll open this up. This one belongs to Jared. It says Jared on the battery. In case you're wondering why I wrote on the battery, this has been about a 6-month project, and I got most all of these chassis I got in way before I got the Sabers in. So in order for me to prep and get these ready so that I wouldn't take so long to do these, I wired up all of these chassis around the same time, or just as they were coming in. So I didn't want to write on the chassis, so I just wrote on the battery so they would help me remember whose was whose. All right, so that's what we did there. Weathering is the same. You'll notice they're all going to have some damage on the emitter, but they're all put in some different places. I didn't want to make them all the same. I thought that was kind of lame, but I did put it there. Same heat stain on your emitter ring, heat stain on your titanium rods, and on your upper and lower crystal pieces. Although your crystal chamber add-on back there is not weathered. All right, but I weathered your screws. And you have the same type of brass hat tactiles in your control box. So low pro tactile switches, just like that. All right, and we come over here and flip our switch, and this will act exactly the same. That is upside down, actually, so sorry about that. All right, you've got your secondary chamber and your main chamber are both pulsing as well. So we come over here and hit power. So you two have broken circuitry. These all have the same config. So the broken circuitry, the heartbeat on the main chamber, solid color on the secondary, and then your blade match on your top of your profi board with your LEDs firing up. And then you've got twist off. You also have the Carl-Chen V4 Neopixel connectors. All right, so when we get that kill switch on, we can come over here, put this on. I know I didn't show you the handle very well, but same type of weathering on your handle. This shroud right here will be the one that you slide down for a crystal reveal. And slide it back up. Slide it right into place there. This one too sounds pretty beefy. And twist off. So we'll put a blade in this guy too. So again, back this up a few threads. Come over here on the top button head screw. Bring it out just a little bit out of the blade socket. We'll put our 7/8 inch blade in there. Bring it down. Lock this in. On the first demo that I did yesterday, I said that the blade would need some sanding, and that's probably still true because I've sanded this blade a little bit. But what was holding me back was I was not unscrewing this before I locked in the blade. So if you happen to be watching this again, yeah, just unscrew that, put your blade in, lock this back down. But this is your main blade retention right here. Good flash on flash. Blade lock up. One sound bot and your sound check. Long press on the power. And a long press to turn it off. Alright, just like that. We'll come over here. Unscrew that. Unscrew our button head a little bit. Take our blade out. I'll put these back in. You'll see your crystal timeout here in a second, just like that. All right, we'll come over here and take our handle off, and then I'll show you as well that the kill switch is doing what the kill switch do. Turn it on. Flip it off right here, and we're good. All right, so Jared, that is your Starkiller. I hope that you like the way that this one came out. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this off to the side. All right. Take a drink of water. This is the third one right here. So again, very, not identical, but very similarly weathered. All the heat staining on this is the same in the crystal chamber. 2 main rods. Smoky lenses, emitter ring, 2 button setup, right? Shroud on magnets, crystal reveal. This chamber is clean, so let's open it up and see who this belongs to. No, I'm saying it every time, but please remember, super tight fit. Work the handle back and forth until it comes off. This is one of those, this chassis I can tell right away belongs to Brian because he's the only one that sent me a chassis that was actually polished, like the SLS material was polished. All right, so Brian, this is yours. This is one of the chassis that I actually had to, again, hog off a bunch of material from the battery cover, which is right here. But I also had to take off the corners of the rib pieces here and rounded those out because they were flaring out too much. And then I had to round these out because they were flaring out too much as well. So this one actually spent a little bit of time getting this one to fit in the chassis, but it's all good now. All right, but nice and clean. Crystal chamber there. Real quartz in there. These all have the same quartz crystal in the main chamber because I buy them from Etsy, and they actually look like this. They're a double pointed quartz. I think they go very well inside of Sabers. They're cloudy, so they have very nice shine through. It's something that I enjoy using. So I've been using these for like, I don't know, over 2 years probably. All right, but you've got your OLED screen there and your kill switch. So we'll flip your kill switch. Flip it down. Get your OLED screen right here. When the Saber ignites, it changes from Arabic to English. Your crystals are pulsing until we turn it on. And now you got your nice rotating plasma gate, your blue circuitry, and your crystal, and of course your board with twist off. Yours is one of the first Shapeways chassis that I installed, and your config is just a little bit different. I was trying something else out on yours. but it's basically the same. There's just a few minor tweaks. But when putting on your handle, please take it easy. Go back and forth. And then once you get to the thread, you're good to go. All right. It's one of those things you just want to take your time with it. And then when you get it all locked in, we could slide that panel down for a crystal reveal. And slide it back into place. We've got your shine through here. Auxiliary. Twist off, and we'll put a blade in this guy too. So we'll back this up a little bit. Back our button head up a little bit. Don't got to take it all the way out. Just get it out of the blade socket, obviously. Put our 7/8 inch blade in there. You have, this is also Carl Chen V4. All right. So we'll put our blade in, lock down this main greebly, tighten up our button head. Plenty of sound coming out of this, guys. It's a 28 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost Elite. I've got blasted defense, blade lock up. Got some shine through here. A little bit here, and of course a little bit right here as well. Apologize. Your soundtrack. And we'll turn it off. Alright, and we'll go ahead and we'll back the blade out of this guy too. And go over the kill switch. I'll take it out. Tighten that up. Your crystals are on a timer, so they'll time out. Just like that. There they go. Careful, just grab it down here, wiggle it back and forth. Turn it on. And we'll flick the switch. Alright, and then this saber is dead as well. So Brian, that is your Raxus. Let me know if you have any questions. And like you and I were talking about earlier today, I'm actually doing a custom Jaina Solo for you. I'm machining that from scratch. I'm going to hang on to this, and I'll just ship both of your sabers off at the same time. All right, but I will just go ahead and box this up anyway and have it ready. But that's your Raxus. We'll move on to the 4th of 5, which is this one right here. Yeah, I'm not sure whose this is, but we'll look at the weather. Some battle damage on the emitter, if I can focus on it. There you go, just a little bit. Same type of weathering and heat staining. Titanium pieces, steel pieces, shrouds. Same type of paint on the angle here. This is something I do consistent with all of them. All right. And we'll come over and we'll open this up too. I do have these handles on tight because in order to clock the brass pieces, you have to really crank down on it. So you don't have to put it down that tight if you don't want to, but something I've been doing. All right, so again, please remember the chassis is super tight because this is a weathered chassis and the brass pieces in the crystal chamber aren't weathered. I'm going to guess this is Brady's. All right, but we'll take a look at the the weathered chassis first. So your OLED screen there, coming over here to your crystal chamber, and you actually, this is a rhodium, so this is Brady's because he is the only one that got brass pieces for the actual chassis, and then you got the rhodium piece for your spinning plasma gate. So I did not weather the rhodium. We wanted to leave that nice and shiny as a contrast. And of course, we didn't weather the brass piece in the back. All right, so if I open this up, we'll go ahead and open this up to make sure, but I'm positive this is going to say Brady, which it does. All right, so Brady, please know that yours as well was one of those ones that I did hog off a bunch of material off the battery cover and then went back and weathered it. And then yours was another one that I had to really file down and sand down the edge of these ribs because they were poking out just a little bit further than the diameter of the chassis. These pieces right here too. But everything is good now and it fits well. All right, just tight. All right, so we'll come over here and turn on our kill switch. Your OLED's working. Your crystal chambers are going. So we turn it on. And of course your plasma gate is now spinning, right? With your broken circuitry and your pulsing crystal. You've got twist off as well, and then these are also Carl Chen V4s. All right, so when we put the handle on this guy, just go nice and gentle with it. Yours was one of the tighter ones, but it's all good now. Just go nice and gentle, work it back and forth, get to your threads, and you're good to go. All right. When you go to your threads, when you start to thread in the handle, make sure that you're not threading it in sideways. It is easy to cross thread. Your particular chassis, it's tight all the way through. Most of these other ones, once you get to the threaded area, they're good to go. This one just wants to, it's going to remind you that it's a tight fit all the way, but it's fine. Come over here and hit power. Nice shine through in your cutout area right here. And you can see your plasma gate. Slide that down. Slide that back into place. Twist off, and then we'll back this out in our button head, and we'll put a blade in this guy too. All right. 7/8 blade. I'm not even going to tighten those back down. I'm not going to use a blade retention because it's a tight fit in there, but this saber was fighting me a little bit during installation, but I won. Blaster bolts on the auxiliary. Blade lock up. One sound font though, right? Apologize. And your soundtrack. Turn it off, and we'll take our blade back out. Oops. You also have twist on this particular one. Put that button head screw back into the blade socket, lock this back down, take our handle back off. When you're done unthreading the handle, just gently go back and forth. Come over here and turn the saber on, and then flip our switch, and you're good to go there. All right, so Brady, that is your Raxus. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Happy to answer them for you. And we're going to set this off to the side as soon as I put the handle back on this as well. And we'll go over the fifth and final one. All right, we're going to put this right over here. Go over the fifth and final one, which is this guy right here. A little bit of battle damage on the emitter. 2-button setup. All the same type of heat staining. On the handle as well. If we can not focus on my head. All right. Take this handle off too. I got this on pretty tight as well. A little back and forth. So this one is a clean chassis, obviously. Crystal chamber. Take the battery cover off of this guy. This is Jamie's. I have forgotten. So yeah, this particular one is Jamie's. Jamie, yours is one that I did have to take a bunch of material off of the battery cover, but tried to polish it back up to match the rest of the Saber. So it's good to go now. All right, so we'll come over here and flip this as well. So your OLED screen is working like it should. Your crystal chambers going until we turn it on. So you got your rotating plasma gate with your broken circuitry over here. And you've got twist off, and then we'll go ahead and put this handle back on. Remember, just take your time, go back and forth. It'll go right up. All right, and we'll twist this on. Lock it all the way down. You have twist on, obviously. LEDs in there firing up. Let's throw a blade in this guy too. All right. Get that out of the blade socket there. Put this in it. We'll lock this down, hit power. Blaster bolt. Blade lock up. Some good flash on flash. Slide this panel down for a reveal. Slide it back up. This one's a pretty tight fit. Slide that back into place like that. Come over here, one sound font. And your soundtrack as well. Alright. We'll turn it off the same way, long press on the power. And we'll take the blade out of this guy as well. I didn't use that button head for blade retention that time, but you'll want to depending on how hard you want to swing this around. You'll notice that your crystals are also on a timer. So before I get the handle off, these will probably time out. Just like that. All right, so come over here and take this handle off. Slide it off and turn the Saber on. And then flip it off with our kill switch. And we're dead. All right, so Jamie, that is your Raxus. And guys, that is the end of this demo. That is all 5 Sabers. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to spend all day tomorrow packing everything up and getting everybody their tracking numbers. All right, thank you.